Build for Health, where we pull back the curtain on what it takes to build a strong, healthy body and a fitness routine that sticks. I'm Pete Wright here with Srdjan from Elevate Fitness, and today we are talking about what happens when the body hits pause, whether it's by surgery or injury or just pure dumb bad luck, and you're left staring at the long, awkward road back to strength. It's the part that no one puts in the highlight reel, the fear of re-injury, the impatience that whispers, just try it, and the very human urge to rush the process because resting feels like losing. We're digging into how to train after something goes wrong, how to rebuild strength without sabotaging recovery, how to pace progress when motivation runs faster than healing, and how to come back not just moving again, but stronger, smarter, and harder to break next time. Let's get to it. Srdjan, let me tell you why I wanted to do this episode with you today. I have a friend, my business partner as a podcaster. Okay. His name is Andy Nelson. Andy, hello. This episode is for you. What I know about Andy is that he has for years had crappy knees, like terrible bone-on-bone knees. You might know something about that.
Oh, yeah. I have one too.
Well, Andy is getting both knees replaced beginning in February. One in February, the next one the middle of March. One right after the other. And I want to give Andy a plan, a lesson plan for how to rebuild after this kind of rehab. So let's keep Andy in mind. We are, of course, talking about all kinds of injuries and joints today, but handsome Andy is the guy who's we're trying to rehab.
Oof, that must be tough. I'm just picturing having both knees replaced. And I mean, I have a bad knee. I have no cartilage in my left knee. So it's pretty much bone to bone.
Yeah.
And all my workouts, leg workouts are modified. They're completely different from everyone else. And I know the pain. So and the training is always different. Every day is different day. You'll wake up sometimes with those aches and it hurts and you did nothing. It's just, every little thing can affect even the temperature outside. When it drops too low, all of a sudden, like you'll feel in your joints and stuff like that. So, and then every day when I start training, I never know if I'm going to have a knee pain or if it's going to feel fine or how much pain I can tolerate. Because you have to know with those injuries, like some injuries will never go away and you're always going to feel a little bit of discomfort. You just have to know how much you can push it, what you can tolerate, what you shouldn't tolerate. Right. So, but that doesn't mean it doesn't give you an excuse not to do it and not to work on it, because you still have to strengthen the muscles around it. Because if you stop, it's just going to get worse. It's not going to get better, because everyone thinks like, oh, I'll just rest and things will get better.
Let's just do some context setting for me. What is your role when somebody comes into you and says, I'm recovering from whatever it is, injury, surgery, whatever? How do you see your role change when you're taking on someone like this?
Well, everything changes. It's different, of course, depending what kind of injury is. So if somebody's coming from the surgery, I would like to see the doctor notes so I can see what they had a surgery on, what they've done. Now, also after that, most of them have done a little bit of a physical therapy. And some of them will finish the whole physical therapy and they get approved to go back to the gym. Some of them don't. Some of them will come to me and be like, well, I feel like I'm going to the physical therapy, but it's not doing anything, or it's just going really slow. I want to speed things up. So I take all the notes, see what they've done so far, and then I take it from there.
Do you have any recommendations for working with physical therapy? Like it sounds like I'm trying to gauge what is best practice. Should you be working in parallel with you as a trainer in the gym and your physical therapist, or would they just rather you not mess with it until they're done?
Well, they would rather not mess with anything. They want you to come straight to them. Now, this is what I experienced with all the injuries that I have in going to the physical therapy. Everything takes way longer. Right. Because you can see them maybe once or twice a week, and that's all you do. And, they'll sometimes give you some exercises to do it on your own, and it takes forever. So sometimes when they come to me, I can speed things up safely. They're of course scared to, they don't want you to get hurt again. It's liability, all that stuff. They have to think about it, right? So the things that they can do, that they will do in 6 months, I can do in 4, because I'll push a little bit. I'll go depending on how the client feels, how they feel when they do certain things, and see if I can go to the next step. Where I did some physical therapy and it was just taking really slow, it was taking forever. So I remember my shoulders, I stopped going after 3 weeks. I didn't feel like they were doing anything for me. I was just resting. And I called my doctor, a specialist. He told me everything, what was wrong, and gave me all the paperwork, stuff like that. And then I rehabbed it on my own. I was going every day. I remember going 24-hour fitness, and I would be in the corner doing my workouts and all that stuff, rehab stuff. And I was back in the gym after I think 4 months after tearing all my rotator cuffs and both shoulders at the same time.
But you're back at the gym in 4 months.
Yeah. I learned a lot of stuff the hard way when I was younger, doing things that, oh my God, I shouldn't do it. But after 4 months, I was doing shoulder press with 50, 60 pounds overhead. So, and I definitely thought I was going to need a surgery. I couldn't lift my hands. I had people help me put on the shirt and stuff like that. And it was that bad. So that's the thing. Physical therapy is still good. I would recommend you should still do it. You go it. But this is the thing where people make mistake. After the physical therapy, they think they're good and they just stop. Now, the physical therapy, all they do is just, they get you back on your feet. You're functional again. You got your range of motion back now and you're able to move, right? Their job is not really to now strengthen all those muscles around that joint. Right now, that's your job. You're supposed to, after physical therapy, they got you functional, you can move again, you have a range of motion. Now it's your job to go out, find someone who knows what they're doing, and strengthen and work on those muscles around. Because if you don't do that, you're never going to be 100%. Because after the physical therapy, you're not really 100%. You can move, you can walk, but that's it. And risk of getting hurt again is so much higher. Because just a small move, bad move, twist, where you didn't strengthen your stabilizer muscles, your other muscles around it, you're going to pull again that same joint and just going to injure it again. And it's going to get even worse. Now you're going to need probably second surgery or more physical therapy, stuff like that. So please, after physical therapy, do the strength training and strengthen the muscles around. It's so important. That's the only way you're going to get it 100% healed. Because it's healed, they got you functional, but you got to do the rest.
I'm trying to brainstorm where your head is at after this sort of a thing. We've talked about just sort of fear of re-injury versus overconfidence, right? I'm prone to injuring myself because I historically don't have a great relationship with my own ability. So I'll screw something up. But there's also this idea, you have somebody who's already athletic or physically fit who has an injury that is harder to recover from, or a surgery that's a bigger surgery. There's a loss of athletic or sort of personal identity. There is, how do you retrain yourself to rebuild trust in both movement and load, right? You just said that in 4 months, you were back doing overhead shoulder presses at 50, 60 pounds. And that is, I can't tell if that's ego-driven overconfidence on your part or a legitimate sort of, you have no trouble rebuilding trust in your body.
Well, yeah, you have to try yourself. I know the right form and how to execute, and I can tell if something's off. If it starts hurting or if I'm not in the right position, I'll stop right away. So you have to know what you're doing and be able to push them. And then I never go really more than that. Sometimes you feel like you can do more. Like you said, your ego kicks in. It's yeah, I feel great. Let's do more. But that's when you actually have to stop yourself, be okay, I had this injury. I don't need to go more, because now you're risking of injuring it again. Because anything that's, of course, over your head when you're pushing person weight, the injury comes even if you're not hurt before, you haven't been hurt before. There's a risk. So you always have to treat those parts of the body like you just recovered. You always have to think, even when you feel great, even after like I have clients that say, oh yeah, this injury was like 3-4 years ago, stuff like that. I'm like, you know what? I'm still going to treat it like it was last year. I'm going to make sure I warm up those muscles. I'm going to make sure not to load up those joints, stuff like that. So that way, once they learn the form, they'll know how much they can actually push themselves, where they should draw the line and be like, okay, now this is just my ego pushing me, wants to do more, and you should stop. Like before that, yeah, I was lifting more. I could do 70, 80 pounds. But after that, I'm like, you know what? 50, 60 feels good. I don't need to go anymore. I can build my shoulders in a different way, doing exercise that are more safe, because with exercise, there's a certain, level of risk of getting hurt. So you pick the exercises that are less risky and you build the strength through those exercises. So that way, the other ones, like the shoulder presses, like I didn't have to go hard, like I don't even go now, even though they're okay, because I know one bad move, and if I lose control in a split second, that's it. That's all it takes. It's a split second. It takes such a small movement. If you're not fully in control, that's why I always say slow down, be in control. Once the weight takes control of you, that's it. You have no control. So that's how you have to know how much you can actually push. And I've never lifted as much as I did before. And I don't want to, I don't need to. I can probably, if I tried, maybe I would be able to do it. But do I want to risk it? No.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing, and I'll just say it to make sure I understand it, is that there is this partnership between the physical therapist in the rehab process and the trainer. And the idea of there being a gap between physical therapy and general strength training is that you kind of have to take it case by case. You have to see what your body's ready for and work. Think of it like a team, right? You have a team of people who are helping you get back to it. Let's talk about readiness indicators, right? Because I think this is the other side of what of the overconfidence is. I can't go back into strength training until I'm pain-free. So I want to hear how you talk about what it means to be ready to start lifting lightweight again, to start pushing your body again, even when you are still aching from the injury. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And it depends on the injury. If it's a shoulder, knee, or lower back, which is actually, more dangerous, because I have one client, she's doing physical therapy while she's training with me. And physical therapist is completely okay with that. We even spoke on the phone. He called me, I called him. We talked about what he's doing with her and the stuff that I can do on my end to strengthen the muscles around. So we kind of work like a team. And you can definitely have that. And a lot of physical therapists don't mind doing that at all. So with her, she feels a certain amount of pain, and the doctor told her that she's always going to feel a little bit. It's kind of a discomfort, but they told her the kind of pain not to tolerate. So I constantly check with her, like, how much is it hurting? Do you feel it? Do you feel a little bit? Or is it kind of sharp pain or a dull pain? Or is it just aching? Or does it feel like muscle soreness? All that stuff. So she can describe to me what it feels like. Some of the surgeries are not that extreme. And they go back to where they don't really feel pain. They're like, it feels great. I don't feel anything. I'm like, that's great. But now that doesn't mean I'm just going to load up the weight because you don't feel anything. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go slow. And then we'll get to the certain weight where it feels like it's good enough. It doesn't need to go anymore. And it's still pain-free. So like I said, it depends on the case. It depends on the injury, the body part, and the joint. And because, like shoulders, they're the most movable joint in the body. So they're going to work all the time, overtime, where, maybe ankle doesn't really work all the time. Like when you're sitting and when just all that stuff all the time and it's resting,
I think that's the trick, though, that I'm trying to wrap my head around, because I think the kind, like you just described, kinds of pain that because I'm not like I am now accustomed to soreness from working out, right? I know when you're gonna make me fail and it's gonna hurt for a couple days and it's fine. But I'm not accustomed to being injured all the time. I can see how I might get to the point where I am sort of underconfident because I don't know how to talk about whether the pain is soreness or healing or at risk of re-injuring myself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because I don't know if you notice a lot of times when we work out, I'll just ask you between the sets, I'm like, how's your lower back? How does this feel? How's that? Because I know certain exercises, when you execute certain exercise, when you do them, your lower back will kick in, your knees and stuff like that. So I just check to see, it's like, oh, it's all right. Or I feel a little bit, and then I know from there how much I can push it and when I should stop. Or at that point, like your trainer should be able to modify.
I get the feeling you're not even paying attention to what I'm saying. You're just like looking at how I'm saying it because I'm a horrible liar when it comes to those things.
Because sometimes I'll notice it. I'm like,
right,
you sure you're not feeling anything on the lower back? I'm like, you just use the whole lower back on that one. So I a lot of times I can tell with how you move. And then if something doesn't sit right with me, I'm like, I don't feel this is right. I'm not going to do it. I can modify everything, every kind of exercise that we do. And every trainer should be able to do that. And modify to where it feels and looks more safe. And then once you build the strength around it, then you can kind of try that one again and move again. So, take step by step. Don't push it. Don't jump into something right away. But keep moving. Don't just sit around, do nothing. Like a lot of people were like, oh, I'm still going to therapy. I'm resting now. All that stuff. It still hurts when you do. There's a lot of other things that you can do if you have access to the pool. When you have those injuries, you go to the pool and you try to move around inside the pool. You can move your weights a little bit. They have the weights for the pool because the water will help. And there's a less pressure on the joint itself when you're in the pool. So try working and building your muscles and working on the muscle strength if you're in the pool or something like that. So, but keep moving. Like now, if I get hurt, if I pull the ligament or muscle or tear the muscle, I'll go to my chiropractor right away. He'll treat it. And my own chiropractor would say, now go work out. So just because it hurt, I'm, treating my shoulder doesn't mean I get to rest now. I do the workout, but he was like light weights, everything 15 or more reps. So, because you want that muscle to keep working, because you need the blood flow, so it can actually work on healing itself, right? And then after that, there's usually a little bit of an internal inflammation. Even if you don't see, it doesn't mean, the joint is just going to swallow up right away. Something could be more internal. So you put some ice, make sure the inflammation goes down. There's all these other different treatments that you do, right? And then you can use either red light therapy, or you can put some warm pad on it just to create the blood flow a little bit and rest. And so when we say rest, we mean do different types of recovery, not just sit and do nothing. Sometimes, you'll relax and sit, do nothing, but people do too much of that and they don't move a lot. And then when they try to move, oh my God, that hurt. I'm like, yeah, because you haven't used it.
Right. Well, and that gets to, I think the next thing I'm most interested in is because we're talking about, my business partner here, Handsome Andy, and his knee replacements. Now we're talking about rebuilding with asymmetry, right? So now we're talking about training around injuries that are not necessarily right down the middle. So how do you think about training and imbalance when it comes to building through rehab?
Well, you got to train your stabilizer muscles. Like I'm sure they're going to be doing a lot of, squatting, a lot of, slow lunges and leg extensions are very light. And they might start a lot of stuff with the bands and things like just to get the need to move. Because now the body's got to get used to this joint that's
for an object,
not its own natural joint. So the body has to accept this foreign thing that, and the muscles around now gotta get stronger. So he'll start slow, and it will be great for him to be in the pool after the injury if he has access to the pool to go walk and do, some leg raises and stuff like that in the pool. it will help with the knee. He's going to feel less pain, but activate the muscles around it. And then when you do usually one leg, it's definitely, you do one leg first and the other one that kind of challenges your balance a little bit, and all your stabilizers muscles will now kick in, train it that way. And then you get out of the pool and you do the same things out of the pool. But then slowly after that, just that take step by step, and you put a little bit more weight, so you get a little more exercise that's a little bit more challenging. But just because it feels fine, doesn't hurt when you walk, doesn't mean, okay, now you feel completely fine and you stop.
There's still risk of being under strong from where you started.
Exactly. So you gotta make sure that people are like, well, it doesn't hurt, and they get too confident now. I'm like, it doesn't hurt. I'm good. I'm 100%. Well, not really, because your muscles are running, especially if you don't work out and don't do anything, they're not strong enough, and you're going to injure yourself like really quick.
You've been nursing one of those arms of yours for a long, long time. And this gets to the asymmetry part, right? Like specifically, especially your arms, because your arm and shoulder, it's not like you've been wearing a cast. You didn't break anything. But it's still, it's been aggravated for a very long time.
No, yeah, I tore my bicep along here where it's connecting in the shoulder. So my problem here is like I need to rest more. I use it too much, overuse it, because when I'm here at the gym, I pick up the weights, put it on the rack, take it off the rack, put it on the, because helping my clients all day. So when I work all day, I'm actually using it, not really sometimes even realizing that I'm doing it. And sometimes I'll call myself in a bad spot, and I can feel it. I'm like, oh man, it's like, I should have used my other arm, because my right arm, like the most dominant, the one that you do everything. So it's not like only if I put my arm in a cast or a sling or something, so I wouldn't use it. That's the only way that I get to rest. And then, if you sleep on the side, you sleep on that shoulder, you wake up and now you sore more from that. So mine is now a little bit longer recoveries because I'm using it nonstop. I'm not letting it rest and recover a little bit. So there's that thing too. You don't want to overuse it. You do.
Well, and that gets into my question though, because you still train, right? You're still actively training. So how do you deal with, because so many of the exercises and lifting that you do involves both arms? How do you accommodate?
Yeah, sometimes some of the exercises I don't do because it still hurts and I don't want to push it. I don't want to make it worse. There are some exercises that feel I'm like, it's a little pain. I can feel a little bit. That's because it's torn. It's not 100%, but it's fine. It's not putting any pressure on that, because I'm doing on a different body part. Like I'm doing chest, but I can feel a little shoulder. So it's not a shoulder workout, but you can feel when you do certain chest exercises. And I'm like, well, it just feels that way. But if it starts hurting more, then I'll stop. Like I'm not going to put too much weight. I'm just going to go lighter on that until I start feeling better and less pain. Then I'm going to start putting a little bit more and more weight. But that's how I do it. And sometimes it hurts really bad and I'm just not going to do it at all. I'm going to find something else to do that I can tolerate and I can do it. So that way, that's how I work around it. I'll try something and be like, that doesn't feel right. I can kind of do it. I'll be pushing it, but maybe I don't think it doesn't feel right. And I'll stop. So that's why it's been a while, but I still train. That it's not an excuse not to do it, not to train. Some movements that I can do completely and go heavy and I don't feel anything. And it's fine because I'm not really using that particular muscle in that instant. But yeah, I don't, and I've been to so many injuries and I never stop. I keep going and it gets better. And then you get back to it and it just, because you got to keep moving.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we're we're mostly a strength show. It's not like we hate heavy cardio. Cardio is good. But I do want to bring up the whole, hey, during my rehab, I'm going to just assume that cardio is safer than any sort of resistance training because it just seems like it should be. Can you bust that myth?
Yeah. And in those instances, people will go and do the things that they can do. Like, okay, my shoulder hurt. No, I'm not going to lift weights, but I'm going to go do this. I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's great. Go do the cardio. But then
I'm going to be on the elliptical for like 6 hours.
Yeah, but then focus on the other things that you're kind of struggling with when it comes to nutrition, for example. Then I'm like, since I can't really work out, I want to keep my body composition. I want to keep my muscle mass there. I don't want to lose that. So even if I do the cardio, I'm going to make sure that my diet's now on point and my nutrition, that I'm getting my protein intake. So that way, while I'm recovering, I'm not losing the muscle mass that I gained that I had before. So that's another crucial part. Through the recovery, I always focus perfectly. I'm strict on my protein intake and my calories and everything. And I'll do the things that I can actually do, like the cardio, and, you can ride a bike and all that stuff, which is great. But I don't want, by doing that, to start losing my muscle mass, because I can't do other things when it comes to weightlifting and stuff like that. So there's always things that you can work on, improve on, focus on those things, get better. And then once you get back and you feel better, now you're going back to lifting, and now your eating is even better because you worked on it. So I use those times to perfect other things.
I think that's a really good way for me to kind of reframe it, right? Because I mean, hell, like for me, the Christmas New Year holiday was practically an injury. I mean, I came back to work out on Tuesday this week and it was a disaster. I can hardly breathe, right? But you just forget. And I think that's the really important lesson. You forget how long an injury takes you out. If you really fall into undertraining, that can really mess you up. That can really mess you up.
Yeah. It can really set you back. Yeah. And you try, and it's going to happen. It's going to set you back, but how much is going to set you up, it depends on you. So if it's going to set me back, I don't want to set me back too far where I'm going to now have to do so much work just to get back to where I was. I want that damage to be minimal.
It's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. Thank you. And thank Andy. Good luck, man. Good luck with those knees. I'm very excited about it.
Yes, but you can do it. Keep working on it.
He told me he wanted to have our annual business meeting in his hometown, because maybe while we're working, I could help him walk about during his surgery or after his surgery. So I might be on site rehabbing for knee recovery. I'm very much looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for downloading, listening to the show. We appreciate your time and your attention. If you've got questions about training or recovery or rehab or how to stop chasing quick fixes and start building something that lasts, we want to hear them. Head to the show notes, swipe up in your podcast app, or look for it in the show notes on the socials, and click that link that says send a question into the coach, and we will answer it in an upcoming episode. Don't forget to subscribe and share. This is how we grow stronger together. Thanks for listening to Build for Health. We'll see you next week in the gym.